What's up everyone, Patrick here, welcome back. Moving on to the next valuation example. So your bank currently offers you an interest rate of 4.5% on all your loans and deposits. Your friend asks for $600 and promises to repay you $620 in 1 year. So we got 4 questions here. What interest rate is your friend offering you? Number 2, how much would you receive in a year if you deposited $600 in the bank instead? Number 3, how much should you deposit in the bank today if you want to receive $620 in 1 year? And then number 4, should you lend to your friend or deposit in the bank? Now, a couple of things. This question here, I'm going to show you how to do it 2 ways, algebraically with time value money and also with the financial calculator for each of these. And also this here, you don't have to write all this out. It's in the PDF file at the beginning of the section on the website. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's a course URL that will take you to the website in the description box. So first off, let me just erase this here and give myself some room. So starting with number 1, what interest rate is your friend offering you? Well, your friend is asking for $600 today, so in time 0, and then they're going to repay you $620 in 1 year. And so question 1 is asking, what interest are you earning on this deal here? So a couple of things. Algebraically, we know that you can set this up in terms of this formula. We know that if we take the present value of something, multiply it by 1 plus r to the power of t, we're going to get the future value. And so what we can do, we know the future value is going to be 620. We know the present value is going to be 600. The r, that's what we're actually solving for. And then this t here is going to be 1, like that, right? Because it's for 1 year or 1 period. So it's going to be to the power of 1 there. And so what we can do, a couple of ways we can solve for this r. We can distribute the 600 into the bracket. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by 600. So these would cancel out. And then 620 divided by 600 would give us 1.033 if we round it. Let's round it to 4 decimal places. So we'll have 1 plus r left. Now 1 plus r to the power 1 is just 1 plus r, so we could leave it like that. And now notice, very easy, we can isolate for this r, bring the 1 over. 1.0333 minus 1 would give us 0.0333. And this is in decimals here. And so when we take that, multiply it by 100 to change it to percentages, we would end up with 3.33%. So that is the interest rate that your friend is offering. If you lend them 600, they repay you 620, you're going to make 3.33% interest. Now, if you wanted to get this with the financial calculator, this is how you do it algebraically. Now, with the financial calculator, we'll have our inputs, and we're going to be solving for this I over here. So here you got to be careful with the positives and negatives because you're inputting for future value and present value. So you are giving $600 to your friend today, and so that's a cash outflow. So that's going to be negative 600. And then in the future, you're going to receive 620. So that would be positive 620. You could also look at this from maybe your friend's perspective. So they're receiving 600 today, so that would be positive, but then they got to repay 620, so this would be negative. But these two signs here have to be the opposite. I'm going to look at it from our perspective. The N, number of periods, is just 1 year, and then there are no cash flows in between here on the timeline. So PMT is 0, and then you would just solve for I, and then when you solve for I, you would get that same value, 3.33%. Right, so for number 1, that's how you do it algebraically, that's how you do it with the financial calculator. Now moving on to number 2, they're asking if instead of lending to your friend the $600, you deposited in the bank, which is offering you 4.5%. They're offering you a higher rate. What would you receive in 1 year then? So a different question, we're now going to be solving for this over here. So we're depositing $600 and we have to solve for the future value. So the future value, using that same formula, is the present value, which is 600, times 1 plus the interest rate, 4.5% in decimals, divide that by 100, so 0.045, and then that's going to be for 1 year. So this would end up just being 1.045 multiplied by 600, and we would get 627. Right, so 627 is what you would receive in the future in 1 year from the bank if you invested the 600 with them instead. So notice it would be more than what your friend would give you. To get this value with the financial calculator, so what would the inputs be here? You're investing 600, so negative 600, 1. The I would be 4.5, no cash flows in between, and so when you solve for this, you'd end up with positive 627. Right, so that's how to do it with the financial calculator. So 627, that's the answer to number 2. Now, number 3, they're asking how much would you have to deposit in the bank today in order to get 620 in 1 year. So now we're switching it up. We're going to be solving for the present value, and we're given the future value. We're going to receive 620 in 1 year. So how much do we have to put in the bank to receive that amount? And so algebraically, so we got future value equals present value 1 plus r to the power of t. And so we're solving for PV, so what we could do is we could divide both sides by this expression to isolate for the PV. So that would be the future value divided by 1 plus r to the power of t. And so inputting everything, the future value 620, we'll have 1 plus, the interest rate is 0.045, and that's going to be to the power of 1. And when you do this calculation here, you'd end up, if we round it to the nearest dollar, you'd end up with $593. So that's how much you have to invest in the bank at 4.5% to receive 620. So this here, we would put in 593. And then you can get this with the financial calculator as well. Future value would be 620, interest rate 4.5%. It's for 1 year, no other cash flows in between. So when we solve for PV, we would end up with negative 593. I think it's like 593 and 30 cents, but I'm just going to round it to the nearest dollar. So you could do it the financial calculator as well. So whichever way you do it, 593 is the amount you'd have to deposit to get 620. So notice that when we compare it to the deal with the friend, we have to invest less than the 600 to get that same cash flow. And so using all of the results from 1, 2, and 3, we can see it from different perspectives that we should invest in the bank or deposit in the bank. That would be the answer to question 4, instead of lending to our friend. So with number 1, we could see that the bank gives us a higher interest rate of 4.5% versus our friend who's giving us 3.33%. So that's one perspective. The second perspective is that the future value with the bank would be 627 versus with the friend, the future value would be 620. For the same amount invested. In both of these cases, we would invest the 600 in the future we would get 620 versus with the friend, versus in the future with the bank we would get 627. So higher interest rate, higher future value. And then the other perspective is looking at both present values. And so with the bank, to get 620, we only have to invest 593. Versus with the friend, we have to invest 600 to get the same cash flow. And so to get the exact same cash flow in 1 year, if we can invest less amount, we would take that deal because we would still have $7 left over to do whatever we want with it, whether to spend it today or to invest that as well, right, and make even more. So all three perspectives lets us know that we should deposit it in the bank versus lending it to our friend.